We're at a very critical inflection point where you already know the banks will embrace it, the insurance companies will embrace it, the governments will embrace it, Wall Street has embraced it, companies have embraced it, international markets have embraced it. You can see it all, and yet the conventional investor, the mainstream media, they still don't get it yet. And so this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where you can know something. You know the future. It's very clear. You know why the future is clear.
Bitcoin is quickly emerging as the financial foundation of the future, adopted by nations, embraced by billion-dollar firms, and steadily integrated into global markets. Its price is accelerating, but according to Michael Saylor, executive chairman of MicroStrategy, most people still don't grasp its true potential. He believes we're at a rare turning point, one where the biggest institutions on Earth already understand what the general public has yet to realize. Behind the scenes, banks, insurance companies, asset managers, and even governments are quietly aligning with Bitcoin, not out of hype, but because fiat currencies are steadily losing credibility. According to Saylor, the major risks surrounding Bitcoin have already been cleared. The infrastructure is solid, institutional capital is flowing in, and yet most everyday investors are still waiting for confirmation that's already arrived. Saylor views this moment as a fleeting window of opportunity, a chance to establish your position before the next wave of institutional adoption. If he's right, Bitcoin could soon become the dominant financial backbone of the 21st century. Stick around until the end as Saylor explains why this may be the last chance to front-run Wall Street and how Bitcoin is poised to reshape global finance for generations.
If I had to pick one mentor of the modern era, it would be Satoshi, because Satoshi gave us perfect money, and I date January 3rd, 2009 as the singularity. All of the historians, all of the writers I read, Voltaire and von Mises and Rothbard and Durant, they all lament that the world is an imperfect place, the money is broken, and government policy intervention doesn't work. All of them agree on that. It took Satoshi to give us the solution, because the solution was, for the first time in human history, we can tightly bind economic energy to the individual, put it in their head. And so this idea that we can invert the entire power structure of the human race by pulling the energy out of the land, out of the currency, out of the gold, out of the companies, out of the collectibles, out of the bonds, and put it into the heads or the hands of the people, that's a profound breakthrough, because that gave us the hope that we could actually deliver economic freedom, political freedom, dignity and sovereignty to humanity. Well, I would like to say that was a dream before January 3rd, but the truth is all of these historians, all of these economists I've read, they never articulated the dream. They couldn't conceive of the solution. They just gave you 100 examples of the problem. And so if there is one mentor, it's got to be Satoshi. Bitcoin is a truth virus wrapped in a freedom virus, wrapped in a monetary virus. And it is spreading throughout the entire world. When 10 people on the city block embrace it, it becomes more powerful. When the richest person on the block embraces it, it becomes more powerful again. When a small city embraces it, it becomes more powerful again, and the city's transformed. They become more truthful, and they look out further, and they become more rational. And then everyone in the network benefits. And so as Bitcoin spreads virally through cities and counties and states and countries, on one hand, it's drawing their energy. On the other hand, it's transforming them. Every single politician, every single person that seeks to benefit from Bitcoin finds themselves transformed by Bitcoin. So it is a virus, but it's a virus of rationale, and it's a virus of truth, and it's a virus of soundness, sound money. So as more and more countries embrace it, it will actually make Bitcoin stronger. Bitcoin is better if adversaries, if the 20 superpowers in the world, or the 20 powers in the world, they all embrace it, they will all create a countervailing check and balance on each other that strengthens the protocol and actually strengthens everybody in the network. So I don't worry about it spreading to other countries. I don't worry about it spreading to more powerful companies or any other entity. I think Bitcoin is a perfect machine made of imperfect parts. And it is true that every single person that adopts Bitcoin will be imperfect. Every company, every government, they will all be imperfect, but they will give their energy to the network. The network will become even more anti-fragile, even more robust, and even more powerful. And that is the impact of this brilliant crypto virus that was unleashed by Satoshi on the world. Lots of people will come up with lots of things to do with digital capital over time. What we're doing with it is we're using it as collateral. It's the base layer that we use to issue billions of dollars of bonds. We've issued about $10 billion of bonds that were backed by the Bitcoin. And now we've just issued 2 preferred stocks, one called Strike, and there's about $1 billion of it floating in the market now. That is backed by the Bitcoin. And another thing we issued called Strife.
This is how you buy and sell crypto the easy way, using eToro, one of the world's leading trading platforms. If you're new to crypto, eToro makes it super simple. Let me show you how I bought Solana in just a few taps. First, head to the search bar and type in Solana. Tap on it, then hit trade. I'm going to invest $10, that's the minimum. Now just hit buy and done. I now own Solana. Selling is just as easy. Go to portfolio, tap your Solana asset, then click close and confirm your sale. Super simple. That's how quick and beginner-friendly eToro is. But here's why I use eToro. Earn up to 4.3% interest on non-invested funds, 0% commission on stocks, and you can set up an account in just minutes if you want to start your crypto journey. Use my link in the description to sign up to eToro today and start trading.
That provides a 10% dividend at par value. That's the sort of the highest yielding instrument of its kind in the market. That is backed by Bitcoin. So when people are buying this preferred stock called Strife, we're agreeing to give them 10% yield forever, for 100 years, for 1,000 years. And so how are we doing that? We're investing our own Bitcoin. And then their question is, well, how will you pay us? Well, we're invested in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's appreciating. I think it'll appreciate 30% a year for the next 20 years, and then 20% or more. So the Bitcoin is the engine that is generating the dividends, that is generating the collateral and the security for those fixed income investors. The future of our company, our business strategy, is we wish to be the global leader in the issuance of Bitcoin-backed credit. We want to issue a preferred stock that gives you European yield in return for Bitcoin yield. So we'll give the Europeans more yield than they're getting from their corporate bonds. Or we'll generate yield for the Japanese yen. So the Japanese investors get 50 basis points in yield from their corporate bonds. If we go to Japan and offer 10 times that much, they're getting JPY yield. We will take back Bitcoin yield, you see? So what we're doing is we're creating Bitcoin yield for our equity investors, and we're giving fiat yield for all of the conventional fixed income investors. That's a $300 trillion market. So when you're saying, well, how are we actually getting value for the Bitcoin? The Bitcoin is generating yield for our equity shareholders because every time we sell any of those fixed income instruments, that generates BTC yield. And then, of course, the fixed income instruments generate a more secure, higher yield for the conventional investors. And that's a business that can grow scalably for a long, long time.
Michael Saylor sees Bitcoin not just as sound money, but as the very solution economists have pursued for centuries. While others viewed the financial system as fundamentally flawed, Satoshi Nakamoto introduced a fix, economic energy that belongs to the individual, not the state. To Saylor, Bitcoin represents the ultimate form of financial sovereignty. He calls it a truth virus, rapidly spreading across cities, corporations, and entire nations. With every new participant, the network grows stronger, more secure, and increasingly anti-fragile. This conviction drives MicroStrategy's bold and unprecedented approach, raising $42 billion in equity and debt to convert capital from fiat into Bitcoin. The company isn't just holding Bitcoin, they're leveraging it. By using it as collateral to issue bonds and high-yield stock, MicroStrategy is effectively transforming Bitcoin into the foundation of a global credit system. It's a radical vision of the future, where Bitcoin doesn't just store value, it powers the next financial era.
The beauty of this strategy is we hold our own Bitcoin. We're not giving it to anybody else, hoping they'll give it back to us. In essence, it's a Bitcoin-backed credit strategy. If I were to go to a conventional investor and I were to say, what would you rather have, 50% return and 50 vol, or 20% return and 20 vol? The majority of them would want 20% return and 20 vol. The actual market for that is 100x bigger. And that's because they just don't want to get on the roller coaster. And Bitcoin is a roller coaster for many. But having said all that, the capital markets are structured. So there are some people that have billions of dollars to invest in venture capital. They have to invest in a private equity of a venture. There are other people that have billions of dollars to invest in bonds. They have to buy the bond. Other people have billions of dollars to invest in convertible bonds. They have to buy the convertible bond. Some people have billions of dollars to invest in equity. They can't buy Bitcoin. They can buy a Bitcoin company. And so when you look at the overall capital markets, and I'm talking about $400 to $500 trillion, that's been structured over 50 years. These people created that fund. All the famous money managers they've been in the business 30 years. So 10 years ago, they agreed with their limited partners, the pension funds and the endowments. They agreed they would invest that money with this strategy. They have to stay in their lane. And the charter doesn't include Bitcoin. So what we're doing is if you're a private company, you give the venture capitalist Bitcoin preferred. And if you're public, you give the equity capitalist public equity. And if you give credit instruments to credit investors, they can buy it. Believe it or not, there are some people that can only invest in distressed debt from bankrupt companies. I do not intend to ever serve that market, right? I'm not going to bankrupt myself to give them something to buy from me. But they have to buy that. And so once you understand where all the money is, you have the people in Japan, they want Japanese yen denominated yield. I could say, well, I'll give you something better in dollars. They're like, I can't buy it. We have a 10% yield in dollars right now. They're getting 50 basis points, 1/20th as much in yen. They're not going to buy the thing that's 20 times better. They might very well buy something that yields 4% in yen because it's in yen. So you have to go to the investors and give them the instrument they want, structured the way they want in their capital market, if you're going to get them to trade their capital for your security or your investment idea. And that's what we're doing as a business in order to grow the Bitcoin ecosystem and bridge the traditional capital markets with the crypto economy.
And you've also said that endorsing other companies execute a similar Bitcoin acquisition strategy through ATMs, convertible bonds, and other financial products won't threaten or compete with MicroStrategy's ability to do so. Why?
Bitcoin is the most cooperative, most ethical, most inspirational network in the world. Every time someone joins the network and contributes their capital to the network, all the rest of us become more powerful, more secure, and more successful. So I could say, hey, it's like electricity. We have electricity. Every company's going to use electricity. Why would it be threatened? But that would be a much weaker metaphor than the real metaphor. The real metaphor is there's only 450 Bitcoin available per day. There is a drive shaft that's turning the entire network. Every time $50 million of capital flows in the Bitcoin ecosystem, we turn it once. So Nakamoto raises $1 billion and they turn that 20 times, right? And when GameStop raises $500 million, they turn that shaft 10 times, right? And when 21 raises their $3 billion, they turn it again. And so we're turning the drive shaft, which is lifting everyone, because once the $50 million of capital comes in the network, there are no natural sellers left. Now the price must go up to find a new seller. As the price goes up, everybody in the network becomes that much wealthier and that much more powerful, and all of their business strategies catch energy, and momentum. So everyone will pursue their own strategy. The Metaplanet people raise capital from the Japanese market. I couldn't sell into the Japanese market. They're not competing with me. They're orange pilling the Japanese investors. There'll be Bitcoin treasury companies in Brazil. There'll be Bitcoin treasury companies in France and Canada. They're all bringing their unique value proposition, and they will help their nation, their shareholders, but ultimately the final beneficiary is always Bitcoin and the Bitcoin holder, and everything that is a derivative of Bitcoin will benefit from that. So I think we're in the early days where there's a dozen companies pursuing this hard and there's 100 pursuing it lightly. But one day, every public company will flip to the Bitcoin standard from the local fiat standard. And they'll do it because 25 years out, fiat sovereign debt will yield 3% and have a 3 vol, and Bitcoin will be 20% with a 20 vol, and it will still be 7, 8, 10 times better to be on the Bitcoin standard, even after 20 years of all of us doing what we're doing.
Here's Michael Saylor with his latest outlook on Bitcoin. He believes Bitcoin is the strongest foundation for capital in a world riddled with unstable currencies and shrinking financial freedom. In his view, what's coming next isn't speculation, it's inevitable. Bitcoin will become the base layer of the financial system, and everything else will adjust around it. Those who recognize this early are the ones who stand to gain the most. Do you agree with his perspective? Share your thoughts in the comments.